All right, let's quickly look at the next 2 points here. Empower children to take ownership. Empower children to take ownership. Set consequences together. Set consequences together. You encourage accountability when you do that. So when children are involved in setting boundaries with you, they are more likely to respect them. And there's a lot of principles from the corporate world that we teach in parenting that I'm going to still be teaching in subsequent masterclass as we go. There are a lot of principles that we use in the corporate world that we are not translating to our families. There are successful organizations. There are some standards and procedures and principles that are put in place that's making them to continue to run year on year, so that are applicable to our families. In project management, for example, we talk about stakeholders engagement, getting the buy-in of stakeholders. That's when they won't give you trouble on your project. It's the same thing at home. It's stakeholder engagement you're doing when you get your kids, when they are at the age where they can have conversation, you're asking them, this is about this thing. What do you suggest? What do you think? You want to hear their opinion. That's the way you should be raising children these days. We don't just cook rules and put them and say, this is what I say, you must do this, my way or the highway. No, that was in those days. You won't get far with kids of today if you use that methodology. So encourage accountability, get kids involved. For a teenager, that's missing curfew, have conversation with them about safety, concern, ask questions, what they think is the best time to come. And then you get to agree on something. That's the way to go about it. And also use positive reinforcement. When you realize that a child is doing something good, praise it, celebrate it. Also, number 5 is adopt the principles from corporate settings, family settings. So corporate settings have a lot of good rules and good principles that we can adopt. So these are the things that we'll be teaching in our upcoming webinar. That's our webinar masterclass, and you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. This is a game changer. It is a game changer. Don't forget I said that we have some gifts for you at the end of this webinar. So don't rush to go away. And it's only for people that stay to the end. We're going to unveil what the gift is. It's mind-blowing. You won't believe it. Because we're here for you. We're here for you. So these are things that we'll be teaching in our masterclass. It's life transforming. There are principles that transforms organizations that we can begin to adopt. Talking from family meetings, family roles and responsibility, accountability check, different things. So we will be talking about this in our masterclass. All right. So let's go to a video that I want to share with us about
one
of the parents that was part of our past masterclass and what she said here.
Parents, and give us a lot of clarity on how to move from the challenges to the solutions and strategies that we can use to overcome the.
You have solutions, strategies that you can use to move from the challenges we have identified initially to the solutions that we want. All you need is strategy. And this is what she's saying here. There's strategies that we're able to provide that help them, that helps this family, to move to have a solution that they want.
We face as parents, and given the limited time that we have as parents, I think the approach that he used is really very helpful, and I love working with her. Thank you so much, Funmi.
All right. So I'm still going to be sharing with you some of those things. I think we need to move on. I have like 5 different enemies, but to tell you, but we're going to see. But I'm going to really stop at 4. We'll find the time to do the other one. So the next one is power struggle. What does that look like? That's the battle of control. Can you imagine what tug of war looks like? And many of us have played that game before, tug of war. Look at that image. So 2 group of people are pulling things from 2 ends. The goal is to pull the other person, to your side. So tug of war between a parent and a child. When one side pulls harder, what happens? The other side instinctively also pulls harder. We are all trying to pull somebody over to our side. That's what happens when we enter into that conflict, that power struggle with our children, within the family. It could also be between the spouse, the parents. The harder one side pulls, the greater the tension, until somebody gets dragged to where they don't want to go. And this is a classical example of win-lose approach. I win, you lose, or you lose, I win. So the power struggle is just like that. So when we focus on winning control, we lose balance as a family. We lose balance. We lose connection. The connection weakens. That's the problem. And both sides end up feeling hurt and misunderstood. That's a classical example of power struggle. So, for example, let's say a parent asks a child to turn off the video games and start their own work. The child might feel controlled. They refuse and they continue to play. That's a classic example. When the need of the parents, contradicts the needs of the child, there's that power struggle. And depending on the personality of the child, they could really stay in there and say no. And the parents insist by raising up their voice and say, have I not told you to stop playing? How many times do you want me to tell you? And many of us are familiar with that. And the child can become more defiant, arguing that, okay, I have plenty of time later to do my own work. Why won't I stop? Things like these are what we experience, what people experience in their homes. And this escalates into a back and forth struggles with parents and children. Eventually, both parties will feel frustrated, misunderstood, and then the parents start to feel disrespected, that this child doesn't disrespect me. And they're kind of worried about the choices that their children are making. On the other side, the child will start to feel unfairly treated and restricted, not listened to. These are classic examples of power struggle that happens in homes, but it doesn't have to be. So I want to tell you about the impact of authority and power on children. Now, every human being has the need to exercise their own power at certain stage in their lives, and that includes children. Many of us, we are in employment. We don't like those bosses that just boss us around, that just really give us rules and just say, this is what you must do. And we don't like those people. They just talk to us, they just talk to us anyhow, and they just say that this is what you must do without really hearing from us. Many people don't like that. At the core of every human being is the need for us for autonomy, is the need for us to exercise our own power, and that includes our children. But one thing we need to know, as parents, we have an advantage. We have a natural position of authority and power. Why did I say that? As parents, we are bigger than the kids most times, especially when they're still younger, before they catch up with us with size. We are bigger than them. We are huge. We're bigger than them. We have economic power. We are the one making the money. We are the one putting food on the table. We have buying power. We have money to buy whatever we want. We change our cars, we buy clothes, we buy food, we do everything. That's a lot of power. We have natural position of power and authority. And many times children feel overpowered and powerless as we constantly tell them what to do. And now the question is, what happens when a power-drunk parent meets a power-drunk child? What happens? There's that clash. The clash happens. And one thing we need to know is that power has limits. We can't use power all through your period of raising your kids. It might work very well when the children are still young. You use rewards. Some people use consequences or reward and punishment to get kids to behave. As long as the child is dependent on you as a parent, you can use your power, it works. But what we are saying is that it soon runs out. The potency of that soon runs out. You won't use it for long. So when your child is a teenager, you can say, if you don't eat your veggies, you will not take juice. Or you want juice, right? Eat your veggies, and that's a reward kind of thing. And that toddler will say, okay, because I want juice, I'll take my veggies. But as children begins to grow, and let me tell you that the greatest push for power occurs at the toddler stage and at the teen stage. When the toddler is becoming like 2.5, 3 years and all that, you see what they call terrible twos, but I call them terrific twos. I have one of them. She would categorically tell you, no, with a finger like this, no. And she will tell you, no, do you want a bottle? What bottle? I don't want this food. No, not this cereal. No, this one. She has power. She has choice. She wants to exercise her power. Every human being is wired that way. But so you as parent begin to use your authority and power and say, okay, you can't have this until you have this. The child will likely obey you because you have power. But a time comes when those children begin to grow up. As the children begin to grow up, they become adolescents, they become, teenagers. They are less dependent on parents. And that's when parents gradually start to lose their power. Let's take an example. You want your child to do homework. When a child is younger, a child might be motivated by reward. to say, okay, if you don't finish your own work, you won't get extra screen time to play. Yeah, that child, it will work. It could work. Or you can use, some people use maybe punishment and say, you don't finish your own work, you lose your game time today. That could work. That's a classical use of reward punishment. We don't, we advocate for consequences. And there are differences between punishment and consequences. And it's something that we teach in masterclass. All right. But when it comes to older children, maybe they are teenagers, they are less motivated by rewards. And they might even resist your punishment relating to homework. For instance, if a teenager is not motivated to do their own work, you can say, oh, you're going to ground them, you're grounded, or I'm going to take away your privileges. This will lead to more resentment and rebellion rather than encouraging them to take responsibility. So teenagers respond better to collaborative discussions where they feel that their opinions are valued. Collaborative discussions. This is why parents start to say that this child used to be a very good child. Have you heard people say that? This child used to be a very good child when they were younger. No, the child now start to clock 12. They are now 13. Suddenly, they become uncontrollable. That is what happened. They are kind of resisting the use of excessive power. So power has limits. Power has limits. Children don't rebel against parents, but they rebel against the use of power. Power has limitation and it can run out so soon. What are the strategies we can use, to overcome this power struggle? I'm going to share with you. But before then, let's look at the implication of this. What are the implications of not addressing power struggles? There is deterioration of parent-child relationship. And I beg you in the name of God, if there's something you want to preserve, it's your relationship with your kids, because that's where influence happens. Parenting is about influence. It's not about control. Parenting is about influence. If you lose that relationship, you don't have influence. And there's no vacuum in life. There's some other people that's going to fill that vacuum. And then you're going to come up one day and say, where is this child picking all these things from? When we lose that connection because of our parenting style, because of our excessive use of power, we destroy the relationship that we're supposed to be building with our kids. And then we close the door to influence. And they open the door outside to somebody else. That's the danger in it. So, for example, a teenager or a preteens, for example, maybe 10, 12, 8 years old child who feels constantly bossed around, you're constantly bossing them around, they can begin to avoid interaction with you as a parent. They will get to a point where they start to share less about their day. They will even stop asking you for advice. You ask them, what was your day? Fine. What was the response? What happened? I don't know. Are you okay? Mm-hmm. You don't want to get to that point. So if the relationship is been damaged, you get to that point that kids are really closing up. And parents start to say that this child doesn't even talk to us again. We don't even know what is happening in their life. Over time, those kids might prefer to spend time with their friends or if they have phones, they can start to spend more time on the devices, listening to other influencers all out there, feeding on different things, TikTok, different things. And they're being gradually influenced. Influence is subtle. It is subtle. They won't even know. By the time it's coming on the other side, they have different ideologies. And people are wondering, where is this coming from? There's something you need to preserve. It's your relationship with your kids. So if this continues, they can have emotional impact on kids, on parents as well. There can be disconnection. Both parties are frustrated. You can't get to your kids. They're not talking to you. Number 2 is that they have difficulty handling authority outside homes. You can start to get calls from school. This child is not listening. This child is disrespectful to parents, to teachers in school. And that could be embarrassing for parents, And you start to feel anxious each time it's a phone call from school because you don't know what they will say again. They're reporting your child. You start to feel frustrated. So this kind of conflict can really impact on our relationship with our children. And it's also with the kids, they can begin to lose favor with people outside, with teachers. They may not even be able to make good friends at school. if we don't address the power struggles, because they're so used to really, fighting, and really we're not getting along at home, and they take that outside. And this can escalate into conflict and emotional withdrawal. We don't want that. So what can we begin to do to solve this problem? Let me say, the power is not about control. I've said that. It's about influence. Don't use your power to get your kids. By all means, my way or the highway, this is what you must do. It damages relationship. Give children space to lead while you guide them. Give them space to lead while you guide them. Number one thing I want to share here is that you have to choose your battles wisely. There are some things that are not worth fighting over. That's why we said you need to identify your non-negotiable values. If you don't have a value that you're working towards, that's when you don't even know what to fight and what not to fight with the kids. You are in a different country, for example, your children don't want to eat your local food, they want to eat other food. How important is that to you? Or to your goals, your values, to where they're going? Do you want to fight over that? Or your daughter just suddenly wants to wear necklace on top of their school uniform. School don't have problem with that, but you kind of you don't dress like that. When I was your age, I don't put necklace on. Do you want to fight over that? Does he want your fight? That's the thing. You need to choose your battles wisely. Raising kids of this generation. Identify non-negotiable values and explain to the kids why those ones are important to you as a family. Decide when to engage and when to let go. Pick your battles so wisely. Number 2 point I want to share here is empower children through choices. Even your toddlers can have age-appropriate choices for them. You don't have to fight. This is the clothes you must wear. As long as they are not going to go outside and be cold. You can say, okay, do you want this shirt or this blue or red? Blue or red. That is you giving them a choice within a boundary. The boundary is that you want them to wear clothes. The choice is that they are able to choose which clothes to wear. When children exercise their power, they feel empowered. There's less power struggles. Offer our age-appropriate choices to encourage cooperation. Homework is due. Let the child decide when to start homework. Do you want to start your homework now or in 15 minutes time? Do you want to start now or you want to take 15 minutes break and start? See what I'm doing there? There is a boundary. You want homework done. But within that boundary, you're giving them choices. When they have that choice, they feel empowered. They're not likely to fight with you. Give children the opportunity to exercise their power. Share power with them. Children can feel empowered. If they feel empowered, to reduce the resistance they feel. Practical steps. So provide limited acceptable options to guide behavior. Allow children to feel in control by choosing within boundaries. Number 3, reinforce responsibility through shared decisions making. Encourage independence by sharing. Ask them for their own opinion. That's what I said earlier on. Get the buy-in. Empower children by involving them in establishing age-appropriate limits and routines. Use open-ended questions to engage in discussion. What do you think is the best time to go to bed? We've had that conversation in my home because I work late into the night because of my work. When my kids are tending to want to walk, we have to say, no. What's the best time? Sometimes we want to research together. Okay, let's check on Google. What's the minimum amount of sleep time you should get? And then when we say that, you do this, you do your lesson, you do your homework, what time should you go to bed? And we all had that conversation. We agree on the time. And we continue to try to enforce that. So we don't just say, oh, in this house, by 7 o'clock, everybody must go to. Well, if you have younger kids, it will work, but it won't work for too long. Engage your children. Maintain consistency and follow through. Is anybody getting value from here? I'm not hearing anybody in the comment section. Please always put together and share for other people that might be joining to see the highlights, your takeaway from that. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yes. I'm seeing Adessa is saying it is really an eye-opener. Have to resume work, please. Can the recording be made available? We'll see, okay? All right. So there are some instructions in the chat box. Please follow those instructions. Invite people. It's not too late to invite people, please, I beg you, because you might be helping a lot of people. So maintain consistency and follow through. The person that's asking for replay, if you're able to fill the form, attendance form, then you're guaranteed to have a replay. So make sure that you fill that, and everybody on the call should fill that. Practical step, clearly communicate expectations and consistently apply consequences. I talk about consequences, have conversation agreed on consequences. This is what will happen. You have agreed ahead of time. Avoid empty threats. Avoid empty threats. Okay? If bedtime is 8:30, follow through each night. You know, there are some nights that things might not go the way, fine, but don't let it be a consistent thing. Don't let it be something that happens every time. So it was Safelatu Drotoye that said something that if something occurs once, it's an occurrence. If it occurs twice, it's a coincidence. If it occurs the third time, it's becoming a pattern. And if it occurs the fourth time, it's now becoming a culture. And that's why you've totally deviated from the set goals. So when you set those rules and agreements, it doesn't mean that there won't be mistakes here and there, but how frequently do you allow that mistake? If you continue to allow that exceptions, with time, you see at the rock that I use as an analogy, you won't see the demarcations again. You won't see the clear-cut boundaries and rules again. And it has its own implications. Okay, so you can make mistakes. It's not about perfection 100%. It's like what degree of exception can you accept? What are the core things that are really pertinent to your family that you don't want to miss out on? Those are very important things to really think about. Consistency is the game. Consistency is the game. If you make mistake, come back to the root. Come back. That's correct. All right. So number 5, I need to run right now. Number 5 says model calm and respectful responses. This talks about emotional intelligence. Things happen. You know, your child is saying something else against what you say. You don't have to shout on them. You don't have to really create a scene out of it. You know, we can manage our own emotion. You can validate what they want to do and still, with respect, let them know what you want to do. Let them know what you want to do. Model calm responses. Teach children emotional regulations. And if we as parents don't display emotional regulations, there's no way our kids will learn it. And one thing I said is that if, for example, okay, I think I'll get to that. Let me not be ahead of myself. So if you're still getting value, let me know in the comment section. Drop your highlights so that other people can also learn. Some people are good at taking notes. Those highlights, I'm sure some people are taking notes, all right? Because these things, you can't have it in your head. So there are some important things you're taking from this. Please drop in the comments so that other people can also learn from that. All right. So let's go to the third one, which is toxic communication. Oh my God, this is another big one. I have a lot of things to share, but we don't have enough time. But I'm going to try as much as possible to cover what we can. The rest we'll be talking about in the master class that's coming. I'm going to tell you about it. Don't forget, do not go away. We have a gift for you. Life-changing gifts, unbelievable. So, we have gone to work for you, and then you will love it. So I'm going to review that at the end, and it's only for people that stay to the end of the session. So number 3 enemy is toxic communication. The erosion of respect and understanding. If we start to dig into this, let's address this. Let's address it. Please don't forget to fill the attendance sheet so you can get recordings, okay? What does that look like? Toxic communication involves criticism, misunderstanding, and unconstructive feedback that erodes mutual respect and damages self-esteem. This happens when parents and children talk to each other in ways that leads to misunderstanding, criticism, and hurtful comments. What happens is that this kind of talk can weaken respect. It creates distance. It lowers the child's self-esteem. And I'm going to give us an example. It lowers the child's self-esteem. So these are the group of messages that I call put down messages. put that, and I put them in category, and I'll share examples with them. So I'm sharing these examples so you could catch yourself. Know how you communicate and talk with children. See, we are raising children in the 21st century. You're not raising children in when our parents were raising us. A lot of things we could get away with. They could get away with. There was the information and knowledge has not gone this, this grand then. But now you're raising the 21st century child in the digital age. There are some ways that we communicate that's really damaging. So the first category is judging, criticizing, and blaming. Judging, criticizing, and blaming the children. And those messages goes like, you ought to know better. You always make the wrong choices. You always make the wrong choices. And please tell me, how is that helpful to that child? Many of us have made these mistakes in time past. Oh, a long time. For me, it's been a very long. No, I don't anymore. But I'm saying this so that we can begin to course correct and can begin to catch ourselves if we fall in this category. You say things like this to your kids. What happens is that this kind of communication focuses on negative evaluation of the child. It leaves the children feeling inadequate and judged. You always make these wrong choices. You always make the wrong choices. You should know better. You're judging, you're criticizing, you're blaming them. The second category, ridiculing. And it sounds like this. That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Are you serious? Even a 5-year-old could do better. Even a 5-year-old, even a 5-year-old would do better. Have you heard parents say this kind of things with their kids? So this kind of messages, you're mocking the child. You're mocking their thoughts, you're mocking their action. And this way, it can make them feel embarrassed and humiliated. And some of us will even say this in the presence of friends, in the presence of people, friends that are visiting them, uncles, aunties, people, neighbors are around, and you're talking to your child like this. You ridiculing them. That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. The next category, shaming. Shaming the children. You should be ashamed of yourself. Have we said something like that before? To our kids, you should be ashamed of yourself. I can't believe this. You should be ashamed for doing this. You're such a disappointment. Oh my God. Oh my God. Shaming messages attack a child's self-esteem. It leaves long-lasting scars on their self-image. It leaves long-lasting scars on their self-image. And I always say this, we speak to children like this because they are under us, they are subject to us. And because we don't have a long-term perspective of who this child could be. And that's why I was asking those questions initially. What do you envision as a successful parent for your parenting journey? What does success look like for you? What do you want for your children? We don't have the vision of what we want our children to turn out to be. Because if you have that, it's going to change our perspective and the way we talk to them. Children, they deserve respect. And if God opens your eyes to see the future of your child, maybe you really see in a glimpse that this child actually became a president. President of a nation. Or this child became a president of a multinational organization. Or this child becomes an ambassador of a country. Do you know if God opens your eyes to see, your perspective will change and your way you talk to that child will change. You won't be saying these kind of things to the child. Every child deserves respect. If somebody says this, if your boss says this to you, how will you feel? Sometimes we don't think how children are feeling, but because we think they are subject to us, they are under us, we're the one raising them up. So we don't think about their feelings. Your words create. Your words shapes the future. Your words create, it shapes the future. These kind of messages attack their self-worth. It leaves long-lasting scars on their children. And that's why day in, day out, some children's self-esteem has been eroded right from home. The time that they spend with their family, by the time they're coming out from that home to an adult, to the society, the self-esteem has gone to zero because of the way we speak to them. And this might also be between spouses, and which we need to be careful of. And if we have been victim of this, or we have really been guilty of this, we should start to make amends. Nobody is perfect, okay? But we should start to make amends. The other one is labeling and name calling. What does it sound like? You're such a liar. You're giving them labels. You're lazy and useless. You're lazy because the child has not done their homework or they have not cleaned their room. You have said this every time. You went out to the market, you came back, your work is still not done. And then you say, why are you so lazy? You're such a lazy and useless child. Excuse me, mommy. Excuse me, daddy. Please do not. This message attached negative labels to the child's character, and which can become part of them, how they see themselves, how they view themselves. And then you wonder why some kids think of themselves so low. They have very low self-esteem of them. Their self-worth is gone. Are you getting value from this?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Oh, absorbing it all like a sponge. Thank you, Nadia K. The Lawals, the power source is something, I'm now helped. Thank you, ma. Yes, please keep those comments coming. Share your highlights. Keep it coming. Powerful, makes great sense. That is from Chobi. I don't care is saying, I'm with you, ma. Learning a lot. Great. Modupe is saying, can you repeat that, ma? You will listen to the recordings. All right. Okay. So, great. Please, let's keep your comments coming. Share your insights so that other people can get from that. So labeling and name calling, I've said that. Please, for God's sake, there are better ways to talk. All right. The other category, there's a lot of categories. I think I've just put too much into this free webinar for everyone, but we want to give value. Comparing, what does that sound like? Why can't you be like your brother? Hey, they said all that to us while we're growing up. Please, if you are here, it's not still too late for you to share the links to your friends and let them get into this class because we are sharing values. So comparison. Why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like that child in school that came first? I heard that all along while we're growing up. Somebody is coming first. The person that came first in school, does he have 2 heads? Why can't you be like them? Other kids your age can do this easily. Other kids your age can do this easily. Can you imagine that? The implication of this is that when you compare children unfavorably, it fosters a feeling of inferiority and resentment. A feeling of inferiority. They start to feel low. They see other people as much better than them. But you don't know that you can't compare kids because they have their own strength. Every child have their own strengths. They have their own weaknesses. The child that might not be getting A's every time might be very strong, might have very good emotional intelligence, might be very creative. We are comparing kids on one standard and make them feel inferior. And then many of our parenting that brought us to where we are really, use this kind of languages on kids. And it also brings that feeling of resentment. And when children start to really they don't feel like celebrating other people. That's why as adults, we have a lot of adults today that they can't celebrate each other's success. They can't celebrate other people. They see somebody doing something grand, something great. You can't call them and send a text and say, wow, I see what you're doing. That's fantastic. Well done. Keep on. We cannot celebrate ourselves as Africans. There's that resentment. Somebody is doing well, you start to resent them. For what reason? Oh, somebody has just launched a business. You are not happy for them. And you're thinking of yourself, why have I not done my own? And you cannot put up a call and congratulate them and thank them and learn from them. You see that their child got awards and that triggers a feeling of resentment. Why? It's because we have been grown up. We grew up hearing those comparison messages. People compare us. And you can't repeat the mistake that your parents did and repeat on your own children. How are we going to change our own generation? And that's what happens. You will not know the impact of this, except when you travel out of the country. It's very difficult for Africans to work together. Even in places of work, they are antagonizing each other. They're not together. But when you see Indians, all those people, all those other, they're very closely knitted. They work together, they support each other. I see this every time. But Africans are always not really connected. It's the kind of parenting that brought us to where we are. So do not repeat that mistake on your own children. It's a time where you're going to say that this kind of thing stops with my family. It doesn't go to another generation. Change the way you talk. And this is one of the things we're going to teach you. How do you talk so that children will listen? I'll give you details about the masterclass. Okay? The other type of, I'm going to even script some of these things. If you don't stop, you will regret it. You are threatening them unnecessarily. So that threat leads to fear. Threat leads to fear-driven compliance rather than respect and impacting trust. So they will just be driven by fear and they will comply. Okay, let's go to the next one. Dismissing and minimizing. A child is really having a headache. They're really tired, but you're just dismissing it. You're overreacting. It's not a big deal. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. This type of messages trivializes a child's emotion. It makes them feel unimportant. All right. Exaggerating negative. You always mess up everything. You're exaggerating it. That's really attacks their character. It fosters a feeling of inadequacy and frustration in that child. Let's look at solutions. Effective parent-child communication. What does that look like? If you look at all the examples I've shared, you see that many of those examples really have start with you, what I call you messages. But the transformation comes when we, move from you messages to I messages. And I'm going to give you a formula that works. I'm just going to say it briefly here. But when we get to the masterclass, we're going to address this. We're going to really go in deeper. We're going to give you strategies. So you messages sound accusatory. It causes children to feel attacked and judged. I messages helps children understand the impact of their action without feeling targeted. So toxic messages, communications often involve accusatory language like you do this, you always don't do this. And that's how we damage our children's self-esteem. That's how we create, rift in our relationship with them. So the strategy is use I message. What does that mean? And what does that sound like? I'm just giving you this example because of our time. We're going to look into this in detail when we come to the masterclass. All right. So let's take this example. You message, you always come home late. You're so irresponsible. That has its own damage. I've explained all that to you. You always come home late. You're so irresponsible. How can you flip that over and use iMessage? iMessage has 3 components. Number 1, you talk about the behavior. 2, you talk about the feelings. 3, you talk about the effect. See, we're giving you transformation. We're not giving you information here. This is a parenting webinar like no other. Many people don't give you the how. They just tell you what and the implication. They don't empower you. But our commitment is that we get you empowered so that you have tools that you can begin to use immediately to experience transformation in your life. Because that's our core. That's what we believe in. So what does that mean? Instead of using you message, what can you begin to do? Use iMessage. Talk about the behavior. Talk about the feelings. Talk about the impact, the effect it has on you. Example, instead of saying you always come late, you're so irresponsible, you could say, you come home. You just say what happened, the situation, the behavior. You came home an hour past curfew without informing me. That is not attacking the child. You're just stating what happened. Feelings. I felt worried and anxious. Please be honest with how you feel because there's a science behind it. And I will unpack that when we get to the masterclass. There's a science behind that makes children to change things, to change their behavior. All the other methods that we have always been using will make children to harden up. You destroy relationship. You damage their self-esteem. So you share the feelings and then you share the impact. Say, I stay up late waiting for you and now I am exhausted and tired at work. I actually use this with my kids. My daughter, during the long holiday in summer, she doesn't really go out. She's a teenager, but then one of our friends said, oh, can we go out? And I said, okay, yeah, you can go out. And just make sure you come back by 6. Because why? Myself and my husband goes to the gym. So we go to the gym by that 6. So I'm like, by the time she comes back, she'll be at home with the younger ones. So we will be able to go. But she doesn't have a phone. That's that discussion for another day, but she will soon. Okay, so then our friends have, and then they have a knowledge of the time, but for some reason, she didn't come home on time. Maybe she lost track of time. I was furious. Yeah, it's okay to be furious, but you don't act on that. That day, because we need to go to the gym, my husband has to, when I waited for her, she didn't come. I said, okay, you can go, I'll just stay because she doesn't come. So it has impact on me. I didn't go out. So when she came, she was already feeling sorry. Oh, I said, okay, so we agreed at 6. You didn't come back. I was not worried because I know she's safe. I was just like, I felt frustrated because I have to wait, because it means that I am not able to go to my gym. And before I even say anything, she was saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is there anything you will help me, you will need me to do for you? Is there anything? She was. So there's a way to talk that gets to the heart of the kids. There's a way to talk that will evoke resentment. You evoke, rebellion. So this method is a game changer. So when we come to the masterclass, we'll address this in detail. We'll give you scripts that work. We'll give you scenarios and things that you can begin to use right away. All right. Are you still sharing this link? There's still value for people. We will soon be rounding up anyway. The last one I'm going to talk about today, because of time, I'll save the rest for later, okay? Is disconnected parenting, the consequence of being too busy. When we're sharing some of the problems, some people mentioned that being busy, not having time. Yeah, that's a big challenge for us as parenting in this modern age. So we are disconnected when we are unavailable, both physically and emotionally. That's when we feel disconnected. And unavailable parenting occurs when daily demands, multiple responsibility prevent us as children, as parents, from spending quality time with our children. Quality time with our children. Many parents, particularly those of us that work in fast-paced organization, or you're abroad, you're parenting in diaspora. So many of us like that, we have competing demands, conflicting demands. We have there's so many things that's calling our attention. Some of us are working multiple jobs, to make ends meet, to meet the needs and the financial demands of the family. So we are working long hours. So we become unavailable. Or when we even are available, we are too tired to engage meaningfully with our children. So a child has gone to school, brought their school projects, and they want to share with their parents, and the parent is too tired. We're too tired to even engage meaningfully. So if that continues to happen and we don't set out time for connection, what will happen is that child will feel dismissed and undervalued over time. So as that continues, the child may stop seeking parental attention. They may stop coming to you. Compared to when we were growing up in the olden days, our parents, by 4 o'clock, most of them are finished. They are civil servants. Times have changed. Look at 30 years ago, when we were younger. Our parents have time. Maybe my mom was a nurse. Some parents were teachers. Some were traders. They have time. So there's that constant interaction. There's a passage of principles, of values from parents to children. But then we come fast forward to this modern day world that we are in right now. We have replaced that time with gadgets. We give our children phones and gadgets. We think that's going to take the place of that connection. No. So we no longer have time for our kids because of competing priorities and busy lifestyle. And we're not going to get any less busy. Also, we need a strategy. We need what works in the midst of all this. So as children continue to miss out on this interaction with their parents, they often turn to external influences. That's the danger. I mentioned that parenting is about influence. And you don't want anything to come in between that influence. Either it's power struggles, either it's your inconsistency, either it's disconnected parenting. You don't want anything to come in between that. Parenting is about influence. So as children begin to miss that interaction with their parents, there's the transference of value does not happen. The transference of principles does not happen. Now they are open up. They open up because there can't be a vacuum. They open up to external influences, friends outside, social media, if they are on gadget, on phone. Social media, they're on TikTok. They're on YouTube, popular culture. And the danger in this is that most of those cultural external influences do not share your family values. They cannot pass value across to your children. So this disconnect can create a gap in emotional bonding between parents and children. Then disciplines will become harder. They don't want to listen to you. And the kids will come, behaving one way. This is what I want to do now. My parents are wondering, where is this coming from? I can't understand where this is coming from. There are other external influences. They might not tell you. There are different ideologies. There are so many different ideologies. And you just need to consume. And I tell you, influence is subtle. They won't even know they're getting influenced. They will just come on there and say, this is who I want to be. This is how I want to live my life. Take it or leave it. Why? They have been influenced. The time you are supposed to spend to influence them, to pass on your principles, your value, you don't have that time. That's the danger in this. A child walks up and tells the parent, I don't want to go to church. They live abroad in Canada. I don't want to go to church anymore. This is a child in maybe secondary school. I don't want to follow you guys to church. Go. I'm not going. You want to force the child? You want to carry them or what? So the best thing is to prevent, not so that it doesn't get there. And this is a accumulation of different things that's happened. Our parenting styles, the things we have, the method we have used, punishment, rewards, threatening, toxic communication, and we have destroyed the relationship that we are not able to pass on the legacy of faith, the legacy, the values that we want. So over time, this weakens our children's, our bond with our children. It can even affect their academic performance because they don't have that connection with adults. So emotional unavailability is example. The other way, you can be there, but emotionally you're absent. You're there, you're physically present, but you're mentally and emotionally distracted. Either you're on your phone or you're just passively watching TV. The child wants your attention, but you're not giving them that attention. Okay, child may sense that this disinterest, or they can internalize it. It can give them a feeling of unworthiness, that they're not worthy of your time. Sometimes our kids don't know where they fit in our lives, but we need to let them know. And there are ways in which we can do that. So I have an analogy for you to really see this and understand this. When there's that emotional drifts, there's that disconnect. It's just like two boats that are tied together, on a river. So they are both aligned. They stay close. They are moving, steadily, smoothly. However, when there's busy currents, there are turbulence and busy currents. In our case, that could be work, that could be financial concerns, that could be digital distraction, whatever it might be. That start to come in. What happens is that these ties will begin to weaken. They will begin to drift apart. They will begin to float separately in the river. And as the turbulence and discontinuity becomes consistent and continues, so they will continue to drift apart that you can't even bring them together anymore. So over time, the two boats, as you're seeing in the other picture, can become very hard for you to bring them together, to pull them together again. Similarly, without intentional connection, parents and children can find themselves emotionally distant, and that can open them up to external influences. These are real issues in our days. All right. So, implication, I've said shifts in influence to external sources. I've mentioned that. A child left alone after school may turn to their online community, social media, for advice. They start to chat. You don't know who they're chatting with. They're getting influenced. They won't tell you where they come because you don't even have that time. They can start to adopt different views on relationships, disciplines, their self-image. A lot of things can start to happen. Number two, decreased emotional bond and trust. So that's also a problem. I've mentioned that. I'll give an example for that. So a teenager, for example, can start to feel disconnected from their parents. So when they feel disconnected, they start to keep secrets. They don't want to talk to you again. They are hiding information. Maybe they have academic challenges. You don't even know that your child have academic. If the teachers don't call you, they start to keep things away from you. They start to talk to their friends more. They gravitate towards their friends. The friends now make matters most to them in their lives. These are problems. We don't want something to come in between that relationship. It can also lead to behavioral issues, academic challenges, because if they don't have attention at home, they can have to start to, especially young kids, they can start to exhibit attention-seeking behaviors outside in school. So quickly look at the solution. First thing I want to say is that connection doesn't require hours. It requires presence. Connection does not require hours. It requires presence. You just need to be present. And I'll tell you what that looks like. I'll give you practical tools you can use. Okay. So when I say this, it means that even small intentional acts. Remember the quotes that we shared in the beginning of this session. It says small shifts, small changes. Even small intentional acts of engagement helps children feel valued and understood. By consistently dedicating quality time to your child, no matter how brief that time is, it helps you to strengthen the emotional bond and connection. It builds a foundation of trust for your children. I can begin to tell you how many things my kids come back home and tell me because we deliberately make time for that connection. It doesn't have to be a lot of time. 2 weeks or 3 weeks, my son was calling me how one of his friends, they're about 12, 13 years old, wants to date a girl. And I said, dating at what I want to date again. And he told me all the thing, how the whole thing happened. He told all of us, not only me, my husband, the whole family, and we all talk about it. And I was like, and yesterday he came back and said, Mommy, do you know what? They broke up. I said, what? They broke up? So I'm telling you, so I said, this thing shouldn't have happened in the first place. These are 12, 13 years old. You know, there's a culture. There's the way the world have their own view of things, relationship, how they should go about it, dating and all those kind of things, and they project it to the kids. So if our voices at home is not louder, the kids will begin to imbibe the culture outside. So when this kind of thing happens and they come back and tell us, we'll use that as a teachable moment to start to instill our values in them and tell them why, as Christians, we do it in a different way. But if you have closed the door to connection, you won't hear all these things. You won't even know when they start to imbibe the culture of the Egyptians. Let me put it that way. So, what can we begin to do? Set priorities, choose families over job. I'm not saying don't go and work. This is what it looks like. Evaluate your job choices. Sometimes there are jobs, I can give you an example, but I don't want to share more example because we don't have time. I can give you how I got from Nigeria, moved to Canada. I had to define the kind of job I want because I said I must have time for my family. I was coming from the oil and gas industry, busy, fast-paced organization. But when I got there, I said, in this place where I don't have help, when I'm all alone with my kids in this environment, I want a job, that will make me to have time for my family. And I refused to look for a job in the oil and gas industry. I was looking for a job in the government, either in schools. And the first job I got was in school. I love that because it gives you opportunity to see how they teach children in schools, to relate with children and teachers and all that. So I did that job for about 2 years and I learned a lot. I took all their trainings. I took all everything. But by 3:30, 3 o'clock, when school finishes, I'm already at home with my kids. I have time. Oh, that job, was it paying me a lot of money? No, sir. It wasn't paying me a lot of money, but it was enough to cover my basic needs for me to pay the bills. Many of us are sacrificing our children's emotional connection, our children's need on the altar of money. We want to make more to impress people that don't love us or like us. But we need to begin to get to a point where we choose our priorities. Will you go for a job that pays a little less, but gives you more flexibility than a job that pays a little high, but you don't have flexibility to have time for your family? The kind of choice you make in this kind of situation determines where your value lies, determines your priority. That's what I'm saying. So will you choose your family over the job? Will you make those choices intentionally, putting your kids first, your family first? Any job I do must allow me time for my family. If you define your family values, those kind of things are easy to make, those kind of decisions, because it's anchors on your core, on your values. And you say that, oh, for us in this family, this is important to us, so we're not going to do this. So I'd rather take this job. And you know what? When you make such choices, God honors it. He makes opportunity comes your way that will give you what you want, even more than you think. But first of all, it has to come from your desire. Set priority for these kids. There's so many influences that want to get your kids away. That when at the end of the day, you will be shocked where they are coming. Where is this coming from? So make choices, wise choices. Is anybody getting value? I want you to share in the comment section what you're getting and let other people. Oh, there's so many comments I haven't been following. This is a very big struggle for myself. My son with autism and is very rigid when it comes to behavior. Thank you for this. Yeah, we'll talk more about that. I will read the comments later. Let me quickly run through this. All right. So, there's one thing I want to share with us in this, that we need to really strive for that work-life balance and prioritize our families. When people get to the end of their life, they don't regret not making more money. They don't regret not spending more time at work. The only regret most people have towards the end of their life is not spending more time with their families, not spending more time with the people that matter the most in their lives. That's the regret. And you don't want that to be you. Because this job that we are all going for and want to make more money to impress people and buy the latest car and the house and everything, you know all that. This one, there's time you're going to get to that, you can't even do that job again. Or even if you want to do, they will say, oh, you're too old, we don't need. And that's the time when people now slow down. They want to now start to build relationship. But the relationship you have not invested in when you were at your prime, you now want to start to focus. It's going to be hard. So we want to focus on and prioritize our families. Let me just quickly go. So I want to say that financial stability, I'm not saying it's not good to really go about making money. It's good because you need money for a lot of things. But I'm saying that you should strike a balance and prioritize your family. Financial stability is important, but emotional connection is priceless. I'll say that again. Financial stability is important, but emotional connection with the most precious people in your life is priceless. You can't pay for it. It's priceless. So we need to make our choices wisely. Intentional prioritization. How about time? You can always make time. It doesn't have to be a lot of time. And I'll share strategy with you. Don't worry. I'll share you strategies you can begin to use. Short rituals, weekly activities, regular routines. That's why we also teach you to have routines, have structure in your home. These are some of the things that organizations have that we're going to teach you in the masterclass. So, when you have those routines, you can prioritize, you can put in your routine those connection points. Those connection points are like anchors in a child's day that offer stability in the midst of all the chaos that we see. Prioritize quality over quantity. I've said that. It's not about hours. They don't need a lot of hours. It's about quality. Quality. What does the quality look like? Focus on maximizing the quality. Short, undistracted interaction can have big impacts. Consistency is the matter. Consistent, intentional engagement is key. Your children don't need long stretch of time to make an impact. You don't need long stretch of time. Quality, supersede quantity. So a parent, for example, can set aside 10 minutes each day. I'll give you tips you can use. 10 minutes each day for each child to connect. I have a parent guide that I developed on this one. I will give you different activities, things you can do with your kids. It won't take you more than 10-15 minutes. It's on our seller. Maybe we'll share the link if you are in the WhatsApp group. You can also share the link to the WhatsApp group so that we can follow up with you on all this. So we'll share those guides with you. It will give you how to have what we call emotional connection time with your kids, special emotional connection time with your kids. It has a lot, how you do it, and it has different activities that you could do. It doesn't take you more than 10-15 minutes. But you see, that consistency in doing that goes a long way. It goes a long way. You can now set a time. Once you have that part of your routine, you can set a timer, for undistracted time with each child to stay fully engaged. No phone, no multitasking. Just focus on that child. Unwind their day. Tell them, ask them, how's your day been? What happened in school today? Who are your friends? It's very key. This is golden. Keep it. Keep it. All right. Open communication about family responsibilities. Transparent conversation. Discuss family responsibility. Children can be surprisingly understanding when parents explain why they must work long hours. I understand there are times where, things are tough. I understand that. But have conversation. You see all the strategies I've shared, put that in place and then have conversation with your kids and see the game changing. Okay? So children can be very understanding when we explain to them why we must work long hours or when we have busy schedule. They can be very understanding. Talk to them. Call a family meeting. Tell them I need to do extra hours to put food on the table to pay the rent. We are just new in this country, or things are hard in Nigeria. This is what we have to do. Explain to them, have conversation. All right. So I want you to listen to a testimonial from a parent that was part of our master class. All right. We'll listen to this and we are getting to the end. I'm going to ask you what you've learned so far. Get ready and put them together. So I'm going to ask you to start to put them after this video. And then I'll tell you about the gifts that we have for you. And the masterclass is coming and the offer that we have for you. All right, let's listen to this from one of the parents that have been part of our masterclass.
So much for being a great example to how you're able to help other people with their children and to be a better parent. I took Funmi as an example of how I could be better by listening to my children, spending that one-on-one time with them, being consciously aware and connected to those who I need to be aware of, meaning my children, as I am able to communicate with them and connect with them through not yelling, but communicating by just talking, being truthful, being honest, being connected, and being present. And as I created games that I played with my children, like listening to audios and dramatized audios that were really interesting to see their responses. And they're like, whoa, what just happened? And really connecting with them has really helped me to understand that as I create these activities, these moments where I'm able to express myself as well as them be free to express themselves, they're now able to feel safe and to be able to gain that reconnection, that which we all need as parents. So thank you as a result of the things that which I've learned from Funmi and her ability to help me to understand how I could be a better parent by connecting with my children. Thank you.
That is it. What else do you want? Big wins, small steps, big wins. That's what we are here for. To empower you as parents to be able to have those massive results for your kids. Position you in a place where they can come to you anytime, where you matter most to them than their friends, than all the other influences outside. That's what we want. We've done this for people that are not Black, but we are bringing this home to our own people so you could benefit from it. Actually, the things that have gone into what we've prepared for you, it's enormous, it's big, but we might not be able to pay or afford it, but we are doing something. That's why I said I have a gift for people. And it's also left
So
for us
Funmi,
to take
thank you.
advantage of that. So that's kind of the end of the teaching, but for now, I'm going to review what we have for you. So have you learned anything so far? This is when I want to really, really read what you have in the comment section. Okay, give children the space to lead while you guide them. Hidden enemies. Okay, thank you for highlighting all that. I'm guilty of you. You ought to know better. Yes, thank you for being honest, Shola. Ade. Aisha said, I'm very guilty too. I know, thank you for being honest. We all have been there, but you're empowered right now, and we still have more for you that will empower you, to be better parents. Shola, is there a better way to send the message across? Yes, I shared some strategies with you, but we are going to unpack a lot of that strategy when we get to the masterclass, and I'll tell you about that in a bit. Okay, do not mock your children, especially in the presence of friends. That's from Modupe Agnes. Thank you, John. All right, that's Ingozi is saying that every child deserves respect. Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Somebody saying, for me, please help with solutions to this problem of shaming, judging, and comparison. I think I've shared some of the strategies. We will unpack the rest in the masterclass. Yeah, Ruth is saying, yes, I just joined due to time. This is good. So good. All right, thank you. Connection doesn't require hours, it requires presence. Yes, Shika, yes. Ngozi said, choose families over job. Great. I like that. I love it. Make wise choices. Great. Jimmy says, that balance is what is needed. And family and job. Thank you. Yes, that's awesome. That's true. All right. Emotional connection with loved ones is priceless. Yes, Maria Oladile. Financial stability is important, but emotional connection is priceless. Great, Olayemi. Thank you so much for saying that. Great. Janet saying this has been so insightful. Like you mentioned, other classes, workshops tell you what, and they don't delve into how. This has been really practical. I joined for just 30 minutes and already my mindset has shifted. Glory to God. Thank you so much from Canada. Looking forward to the masterclass. Awesome. I'm going to review what I have for you. Don't go away. Masterclass, what we have for you is for those people that stay to the end. Open-minded, yes. This is knowledge-packed session, yes, and all for free for you. We are doing this based on instruction, actually. We're doing this, and I'm going to tell you more about it. Let me just continue the comment. Thank you so much for keeping them coming. Learned particularly about influence. I joined late, but the time I met was very impactful. Yes, involves them in decision-making, excellent and very practical tips. Every slide was insightful. Great, empowering children to make choices, but within defined boundaries. Awesome. Thank you for listening and picking those insights. Don't compare your kids with others. Don't concentrate or lay emphasis on the negative acts. Awesome. Great stuff. Thank you so much. Focus on core family values over control. Oh, that is Sheyi and Toyin, our family people. Thank you. Thank you so much. Dialogue and engagement. That's from Olushola. Thank you so much, Fumilola, having quality time. Thank you so much for joining all, guys. All right, let's move on right now. Let me reveal. How many people are ready? You're ready for me to reveal what we have for you? You ready? Say ready, 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 ready. Say ready, 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 ready. If you are ready, I am ready. Like some people are not ready, so I'm not going to reveal it. Ready, ready, yes, so ready, ready, ready. Ready, John, ready. Who else is ready? Okay, let's go.
I'm ready.
All right, good to know. Yes, that's the masterclass coming. This is the master. We have gone to the market to work for you. We have gone to look for, what you have seen me share. And we have gone to look for people that are experts in their field. And you need to actually go check these people out. They are not cheap people. I tell you, some of them, you might not even see them a lot on social media, but they're doing massive work and they are not cheap. They charge millions. They are not cheap, but because of the relationship, we have gone to really look for the experts in the field, the best of the best, to come and anchor this masterclass together with me. And this is the work we have done. And this is the masterclass that we have coming. See all the things that you're going to learn there. We're going to talk about topics about family values and faith. You're going to look at your building a shared vision for your family. We work with family values. We work with family specialists, to develop your home environment with integrity, with faith that will guide on all your choices. So that's going to be part of what you're going to get. Practical guide on effective communication, how to talk to your kids so that they truly listen. You see all those negative talks that I mentioned. We're going to give you practical step-by-step with scripts, with scenarios on how to go about effective communication with your children, with your teens as well. Strategy for that, you be able to create connection without compromising boundaries. That's where you want to be. So this is what we have packed together in this masterclass for you. It's going to also talk about screen time solution for today's families, realistic tools and strategies that you can begin to use right away. That's all we packed together for you in this masterclass, and you don't want to miss it. This is coming up on December 14th and 15th, 2 days, a couple of hours on December 14th and a couple of hours also on 15th. So that will help us to really dig into these topics. It's going to be a virtual class, and we've put all this together for you. So I'm going to share with you briefly what one of our parents, one of the people that have really been part of our master, what they said about that, and then I'll share the detail.
This is a video testimonial for Funmi Alagbe. Funmi is a mother, and you can tell that she is a mother because she really has the heart of a mother. But she is also an excellent parent educator, and she has a wealth of knowledge. I attended her masterclass on her Parent Education Solutions program, and she really spoke to my heart as a parent. Now, her unique 3D methodology, clarify, connect, and convey. Now, this really spoke to me because you have to begin with the end in mind when you're setting goals and outcomes for your children. And as a parent of 4 children, I know this only too well. So getting clarity on the situation is really important in order for us to be able to get to the end goal. But her next step around connection is really important, and she talked about family values, and family values are really important to get right because you all really need to be on the same page, or else you're all going to be pulling and tugging in different directions. And I thought this concept was really important when it talks.
Okay. I think I'll just stop this because of our time. You heard enough of what she has said on that. So there's a lot of value for you. We want this to be transformational for families. So because we want value for you, we have done something massive. You're not going to pay $99 even. We're not going to charge you $100, 100,000 in Naira. You're only going to pay $29.99. It's ridiculous. And I don't think we're going to do this for long. I'm not sure we're going to do it next time. And we are acting based on instruction, and we want to bring value to everybody. So if you want to take advantage of the masterclass that's coming in December, this is the time for you to register. They will be sharing the link on the chat